Hello everybody, I'm Alex Weaver here in Studio 3 with my couch full of experts. I have Zach, Jessica, and Jonathan from NASCAR.com. Now at every school year, at the end of it, they're allowed to pick superlatives for students. Now I'm going to transfer that and I'm going to make it at the beginning of the season. I'm going to have superlatives for drivers. So the first one I'm going to have you guys pick. I want to know, who is your surprise driver for the 2019 season?
Surprise driver, I think, is almost, I think you put that under the category of most improved. I think you're going to see Daniel Suarez fit into that role, and I think he's really going to gel with the number 41 team at Stewart-Haas Racing. Kind of a year that tailed off for him performance-wise towards the end of the year, and I think he'll be able to turn it around, gel with a good group of veteran guys that'll kind of help him along, and I just see that in the Ford camp, I think he'll turn it on, and I feel like he'll be in the playoffs, which he wasn't last year, and I think he'll be there this year.
I'm going to take Matt DiBurrito for Levine Family Racing. I think the biggest key with that team is the alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing. You know, as much speed as we've seen them have and as dominant as they've been, I think that's really going to be key for them. That's really going to help him going in. And just his raw determination and kind of thing, that grit and that attitude he has, I think it's going to be really helpful, and just coupled with that really nicely, I think we'll see a good year for him.
I think Ryan Preece is going to be your guy in this category. I talked about it the last time that we all met and talked about just JTG Daugherty Racing, the success they had with the 47 car around All-Star Weekend. I think the package combined with Preece's ability just to drive anything is really going to make him stand out.
All right, the next one I'm going to ask you guys is a playoff dark horse. It can be somebody that's been in the playoffs before, never made the playoffs, but who do you see going the furthest unexpectedly in the playoffs?
Do I have to go first on this one again?
Go first again.
Gosh.
First.
I know. Well, I think that's going to be Ryan Blaney for me. I know he made the playoffs last year, but I think there'll be a deeper run this year. And I think part of that is just the resources that Team Penske has thrown behind in their championship run last year. And I think you saw that across all three teams, even though just one of them made it last year. But I think that will just really buoy the number 12 team, and I think he'll be one of the ones to make a really deep run.
Piggybacking off your last pick, Zach, I'm going to go with Daniel Suarez for the dark horse pick for the playoffs. I really do think if he doesn't reach victory lane, I think he's going to get pretty darn close. With SHR and the equipment they have, and these runs that they had last year with all four drivers winning and then making the top 8 in the playoffs, I mean, it's hard to imagine a world where Daniel Suarez does not make the playoffs. And for him, it'd be the first year he's made the playoffs and perhaps the first win this season. So I think he's going to be a dark horse heading in.
All right, I'm going to go with William Byron. I think, I talked to multiple drivers during production days here in Charlotte, and they all talked about how tough the Cup Series is, how it's hard to come in and win instantly. Very few drivers get to do that. Byron's a very quick study, and the fact that win didn't come last year and he didn't make the playoffs last year, I think is going to fire him up, motivate him, because, look, Willie B's got a killer instinct hidden down deep under the nice guy persona. I think William Byron's going to come out and he's going to win a couple races this year and make a run through the playoffs.
And that new crew chief.
Absolutely. Checking out won't hurt.
All right, now the last one that I'm going to ask you guys to pick, and this may be the hardest thing that I ask you all season long. Who is your early champ for?
Well, this is really early, and we had before the camera started rolling, we had a really spirited discussion about how that was going to play out. So let's go out on a limb and just say I think there's not a scenario in which Kyle Busch does not make it. I don't think there's a scenario in which Kevin Harvick does not make it. So that's 2 of the 4 right there. Kind of going on the dark horse type side, and again, that deep run, I think Ryan Blaney is going to find a way to get to the championship 4, and I think he'll bring his teammate Joey Logano along with him to try to make a title defense of it.
I think like Zach said, it's hard to imagine a championship 4 without Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch, as dominant as they were last year. And for me, it's a little bit hard to imagine it without Martin Truex Jr. Just his move to JGR, I think, is only going to strengthen that team. I think it's only going to be a beneficial move for him, just moving in-house. So it's hard for me to not pick him in that as well. And for my 4th one, I like the Team Penske picks, but I'm going to go with Brad Keselowski for that one. We saw his glimmer of runs in the playoffs where he had those, I think it was 3 or 4 wins in a row.
Streak, yep.
Yeah, that hot streak right there. So I think if he can continue with that and kind of capitalize on that.
Right time.
Yeah, at the right time. Maybe toward the end of the playoffs, keep it consistent, and then the end of the playoffs has that run. I think we could see him in the championship 4.
I'm going to take the big 3 for obvious reasons, but I'm going to take the 9 car as well. If you look back over the past 2 seasons, it's come down to one race for him getting in the way of making it to Homestead. That's been Phoenix. A little bit of a run-in with Denny Hamlin, and then Matt Kenseth passed him 2 years ago, and then obviously gets caught up in Hamlin and Bowyer's mess this past year. I think in order for that nine team to take the next step, they've got to make Homestead. I think Chase Elliott gets it done. He locks himself into that Final Four.
All right, well, if any of you guys pick the actual Champ 4 at the end of the season, we're going to go buy a lottery ticket together. You can catch that. The season will start off in the Great American Race. The Daytona 500 is coming on February 17th, 2:30 p.m. on Fox.